Oh boy.
I'm a little tired this morning, so I'm just like trying to pump myself up, I'm just trying to pump myself up.
Too much turkey.
Yes, too much of that delicious smoked turkey. It was so good and juicy. So juicy. I watched all these videos on, smoking a turkey versus putting it in a deep fryer.
Yeah.
And it's like people loved, and maybe all of our listeners, you tell us, comment, if you're on YouTube, comment in the comments below. Let us know, are you a deep fryer or are you a smoking? Do you put that turkey in the smoker, or maybe some of you put it in the oven because you find that that's the best way to do it? I have not found that's the case. Not for me. Ours always turn out a little dry in the oven, so we've been doing the smoking for years. Turns out super juicy. But I was watching some videos on deep frying versus smoking, and it was like consistently the smoked turkey was way juicier. However, everybody loved the skin on the deep fried turkey.
There you go.
It's just like so good. Anyways, I'm like in a turkey coma right now. Turkey, there is something in turkey that makes you tired.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got to stop eating turkey because I don't drink coffee, so
Yeah.
I need a little energy, man. All right, let's jump into it. I promise. Today's episode is called I Promise. Now, what am I going to promise? The world. I'm going to promise you the world. When you buy my system, it's going to do everything for you. It's a good old snake oil sale, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, unfortunately, people do this often. They give the snake oil sale not on purpose, but they get excited. One of the best and fastest ways to lose clients, if that's what your goal is to lose clients, is to overpromise and underdeliver, right?
Absolutely.
And we do this. I remember when we first started some of our first companies, I would be like, yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. And Ron was the worst. Yes, yes, yes. And then he'd come back to us, and even sometimes I did it too. And we'd be like, how do we do that? Or I'd walk out of the meeting and I'd be like, crap, how are we going to fulfill on this? Like the only person in the history that I know of the world that's been super successful at this, and I'm sure there's been plenty of people that have done it. But,
yeah.
But Steve Jobs, right? So like, wasn't he the one that,
No, Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, that's right.
Yes.
It was Bill Gates. Bill Gates sold it before he had it, right?
Yep.
And then he had to figure out how to do it. And when I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, no, there's been tons of people, but they sold snake oil. Like a lot of them really did sell the snake oil. I'm thinking of like Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Yep.
I mean, he definitely oversold and underperformed. But I think that people do this in business and they don't mean to.
Yeah.
We get excited, we get overzealous, we want to make the sale, we want to get the business, and the problem is somebody's going to get shot in the foot. Someone's going to take it in the foot. Boom. And it's either going to be the client or it's going to be you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we all have this, innate ability to protect ourselves.
Yes.
So a lot of times it's the client that gets beat up about it. So let's jump into some of this discussion about overpromising and underdelivering, how to avoid it, how to recognize if you're doing it, things like that. So Troy, go ahead and jump in. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Trevor said, a lot of entrepreneurs start their business because they actually want to help people, right? That's the motivation for starting their business. They want to help their potential clients. They want to help themselves, right? They want to help their families. They want to help their employees. So there's good intentions there, but they also a lot of times fall into this, what we call the overpromise trap.
Yeah. And I want you guys to think about this and not be like, oh, well, that's not me. And like, just ignore this one and move on to the next episode or a previous episode or whatever, go on with your day. Because here's the thing is, if you aren't keeping clients as long as you would like to, you might be overpromising and under-delivering.
Yeah.
If you're not selling as many clients as you want to, if you are getting a bad reputation out there. There's just multiple things that could be happening that you don't recognize that this is what is happening. Your sales team is over-promising or something like that. So anyways, don't jump off of this one. I promise you're going to get some good stuff from it. Let's go.
But don't overpromise.
I overly promise you that you are going to triple your business after this podcast.
All right, so let's talk about this. Like in the beginning of a business, most owners, like Trevor said, just want to get a sale. So they will promise the world to close that deal, whatever it takes, because you're like, I just have got to get some money in the door.
Yeah.
You know, and most of them don't mean to lie to the client.
Right.
But they just don't have enough experience at that point in the beginning of their business to truly know what they can do and what they can't do.
Right.
You know, so in order to get the sale, they promise everything they can, and then they hope that they actually can fulfill on it. Now, why is this bad? Well, obviously, there's a lot of reasons why it's bad, but one of the biggest reasons why is that the overpromise puts your reputation in jeopardy.
Yes.
And when you're first starting your business, you know, especially when you're first starting your business, your reputation is everything.
Everything.
Right? Because you have no reputation.
Yeah.
So you've got to build up this customer base of people that are saying great things about you.
Yeah. A lot of referrals is how you grow your business in the beginning, right?
Exactly.
You're not going to get those.
Yeah. So if you're overpromising and under-delivering, you're not going to get the referrals. You're not going to get the good reviews online that are going to help you attract more business. The other thing that happens is it actually reduces your profits. Because a lot of times, you know, you overpromise, and then you start doing the job and you realize, the only way for me to make this happen, right, to actually fulfill on what I said is I'm going to have to spend more time or more money to make it happen, which means that you are eating into your profit.
Yeah. That reminds me of a person that we know, a client that we know that had a landscaping business. Mm-hmm. And they already were, you know, you bid for these commercial jobs, and they were already very cheap. I mean, especially for this one organization, they were bidding for this one specific organization. They knew that organization had a history of taking the lowest bid, but it did still bring revenue in. So they said, you know, they would always bid for it and they would win, and they were getting it, and they had it for years. Well, they already knew that they were getting a shoestring, you know, profit off of that with their bid, but it would generate exposure, and other organizations would use them and stuff because they would see, oh, wow, they're doing it for this. Anyways, it was profitable. Yeah. But they already knew for that one organization, it was very shoestring profit. Well, they lost the bid one year to another person, another landscape company that was like really far away, like over an hour away from where they were going to be servicing this property and everything like that. And they came in lower than them. And the guy's going, I know that this guy is not going to be able to fulfill. Yeah. And he's just going to end up hurting his reputation, and he's going to end up losing this contract, and I'll end up getting it back. Yeah. You know, and so what happened? That's exactly what happened. Yeah. The guy was like, he couldn't make a profit. No. You know, because he had an hour's worth of gas there and back every time doing the jobs. Yeah. And multiple trucks, because you got multiple, you know, these are big commercial jobs. Yeah. You got multiple lawnmowers and trailers, things like that. Yep. So the guy overpromised and couldn't deliver on it. Yep. And guess what? That organization, you blow it with a big organization like a commercial, and a lot of our cleaners, a lot of our carpet cleaners, a lot of our commercial cleaners, you know, you guys are dealing in the commercial industry, and if you sully your reputation, it can spread quickly amongst others. So it's important. And the other thing too that it does is it puts you at risk of chargebacks or refunds. Mm-hmm. You know, so you're not able to fulfill on what you said you would do, and now all of a sudden people are wanting their money back. But you've used that money to either live off of or to buy supplies, whatever it might be. So it can really, really hurt a business in the beginning. So how do you, now, and again, this can still hurt you even if you're not in the beginning of your business, right? I just want to stress that as well. We're not just talking about people who are just starting their business. So how can you avoid the overpromise trap? Mm-hmm. So one thing is, and this is the very most important thing you can do, is clearly define what is included in your services and what is not included. Right. And people are probably like, well, yeah, duh. But, you know,
I want you to actually think about it. When you're doing a job for somebody, have you clearly defined to them ahead of time, this is exactly what's going to happen?
Right.
Or are you kind of leaving it up to their interpretation of what's going to happen?
Right.
You know, and I remember, again, us being in the tech industry, right? With software, I remember talking to an attorney and he's like, okay, well, you need to define this and this and this and data usage and blah, 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 blah. And we're like, oh, we're not really worried about that. And he's like, well, you're not worried about that now.
Right. Exactly.
But you might be worried about that in the future. So you need to define it ahead of time before you get into the situation.
Yeah.
So same thing with your business, whatever your business is, you know, define exactly what they're going to get and then what they're, you know, and then define what they're not going to get.
Yeah, because that's a big one, especially like, for instance, in the cleaning industry, again, the whole bait and switch. You all know what I'm talking about when I say the bait and switch. You get this flyer in the mail that, you know, 3 rooms clean for $69.95 and it lists all their, you know, all this stuff. Well, when the person shows up, well, that's not included. Well, no, that's not included. Well, no, if you want that, well, this is going to be a $400 job. And the person's going, whoa, I thought it was $69.95 for 3 rooms. No, nobody can do that. No one's going to do that job.
Right.
But consumers don't know that.
Yeah.
And so they have 2 choices. They either, you know, get super pissed and send the person on their way and go write nasty reviews about them, or they bite the bullet and pay for it to be done. But guess what? They will never hire that company again. So either way, you're screwed.
Yep.
You know?
Exactly. Now, the great thing about setting what you will do, you know, clearly defining what you will do and what you won't do is those things that you know, maybe it's not that you won't do it at all, but you just won't do it in this package. It gives you the ability to set pricing for additional services that you can charge extra for.
Exactly.
You know, and then you can show those to the clients ahead of time and say, okay, great. So you want this and this and this? Yeah, I do want that. Okay, here's what the additional charge is going to be for that.
Correct. Right.
You know, you're not coming back to the client after the fact and saying, yeah, so I got to charge you a little bit extra, you know, because I had to do this and this. You know, you've defined that all up front. The other thing too is that's really important, especially if you have a team, is you need to train your team and especially your sales team
Heck yes.
on what is included and what is not,
And this
so
is
that
for
they
our-
do not overpromise.
A lot of our bigger clients, right, that have a sales team, right?
Yes.
I mean, I didn't even think about this before when it was just back Ron selling, you selling, I selling. I didn't think about it. Like when you bring people in, you got to make sure you know what they're saying. And of course, you're going to have your scripts, you have everything, but they can go off that script, right? And it can really nail you. You can be the one that, you know, gets a fine, gets in trouble. It's your reputation on the line. So knowing what your salespeople are saying and controlling that is really important.
Yes. Because again, when they're, you know, I want you to think of your salespeople just like you when you started the business and you were just trying to make money to pay those bills, right? So you might have been willing to say anything you could to get that sale. And a lot of times salespeople, you know, that happens, or they just get so excited to get the sale that they, you know, will just agree to almost anything.
Right.
You know, and then come back to the company and say, oh, okay, well, I said that, so now you guys need to figure out how to do it. You know, so make sure you train your team and they know exactly what's included, what's not included. And then if you have a serious problem with your sales team doing this to you, then I would suggest that you put penalties in place to stop the overpromise.
Right.
So, for example, if they work on a commission-based, you know, sales, put things in place where it's like, okay, great, you overpromised on this, so that extra money is coming out of your commission, right? Because we need to make sure that we keep the promise you made, so you have to pay for the promise.
That's right.
You know, and that will curb that pretty quickly. When they realize, oh no, it's going to hurt me to do this, then I'm not going to promise.
No, I remember with one of our companies in the beginning, you know, Ron, we were like, hey, we really want him to be motivated, even though he's an owner. Like, let's give him commissions on his sales, right? And I remember he way overpromised, and we were like, well, we can do that, but it's going to cost us money, Ron. So that's going to eat your commission, man. We're going to have to take that commission. We're going to have to put it. And he was like, oh, dang it. And it made him think twice the next time. And he was like, I'm not doing that ever again.
Exactly.
So,
all right. So anything you want to add, Trevor, before we hit the homework?
Nope. That's perfect. Let's jump right in. Clearly define your company's promises. And that could be the packages that you sell, right? That could be, the different things that are listed on your website, but clearly define whatever that is that your company is promising to potential customers, and then make sure when you're doing that also that it's just very honest, right? Because that's where you're really going to have your greatest success long term. I know a lot of companies that are fly-by-night companies. They jump in, they make a bunch of money, they ruin their reputation, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And they will shut down their business and file bankruptcy, and they will pop up another one just like it, same exact services under a new name. But guess what? It eventually catches up to you. In fact, I know one person in particular I'm thinking of has had to jump around states.
Yeah.
Because they kept popping up new companies, but then eventually everybody in that area knew who they were and what they were all about. So then they would pop to a new state and sucker people into things. So we don't ever want to, our listeners don't do that. We know you guys are awesome businesses. Yeah. We just want to put this out there because a lot of people just getting into business, you want to make sure you stay away from this. A lot of people who have been in business for a long time and have sales guys run into these kind of problems, but they may not be recognizing that they're having those problems.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to throw one more thing out too, real quick, Trevor, that I was thinking about is because again, we do this in our business.
Yeah.
It's also a protection to you
100%
and your business as a business owner. So like, for example, our salespeople, every single one of their demos or demonstrations is done on Zoom. It is recorded, and there is a slide that lays out in detail exactly what the customer is going to get.
100%.
Now, I can tell you that I've had customers come back and say, well, your sales guy said this.
They promised
that I was going to get this. And then we pull up the recording.
Yep.
And we say, okay, here's the recording. You can watch it. Here's the slide where it lists everything you get. Do you see that on that slide?
Yeah. And you can hear exactly what my sales guy's telling you.
Yes. So it is a great protection to your business to have it clearly defined.
Yeah.
So that there is no question when a customer comes back and says they were promised something else.
That's right. It'll protect you guys. Trust me. If you've been in business for any period of time, you don't make everybody happy all the time. So you will get these rando people who just want to rip you or say that you promised them the world and you didn't. So that would be another thing, is putting things in place to protect you from those kind of things. And we've done that with our business. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for this week. Hope you guys have an excellent in between Thanksgiving and Christmas time. Christmas is on the horizon. Hope you guys are getting out there and you got a bunch of shopping done on Black Friday. That was probably awesome. And Cyber Monday, we just had that. So if you guys need anything from us, let us know. Reach out. We love, if you have a topic you'd love to learn more on, we're a wealth of knowledge, but we just bring to you things that we have experienced in our business, things that we set up in our business, the different experiences that we've had. So if you have anything in particular, let us know. Shoot us an email. Hit us up on social media. Go follow us on Instagram, so Facebook, YouTube. And then we are all over every podcast channel. I don't think there's a podcast channel we're not on. So share our podcast, get it out there. We love you guys. We'll talk to you later. Have a sensational day.